Hello, everyone. Coming up here on the Pro Wrestling Show presents the SmackDown Ring Report. Brock Lesnar, the current WWE champion, makes a rare appearance on SmackDown. He's looking to get his hands on Roman Reigns after Roman Reigns had escaped from him in the bloodline. But Brock Lesnar waits in Roman's locker room, the little own room, to meet the champ in his face and tell him one on one what's going on. Plus two, got some sad news that Triple H will has to retire from in-ring competition. Triple H elaborates more about his health and had that heart issue. We'll get to Triple H coming up. Plus two, Chad Gaspar, the late Chad Gaspar, who saved his son life, sacrificed his own life to save his son, getting rewarded by WWE, getting honored by WWE as the Warrior Award as this latest recipient. We'll talk about that and a lot more. The SmackDown Ring Report starts right now. Hello, everyone. This is Kendra Dix here for your SmackDown Ring Report. Like I said, this is the Pro Wrestling Show presents the SmackDown Ring Report. We'll have the Rampage Ring Report on Saturday morning, so look for that coming up. But join in the conversation using the hashtag Pro Wrestling here on Connect. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe is caring. Tell a friend, call a friend, hit that subscribe button here for the SmackDown Ring Report. So we got a lot to get to, but let's start off with Triple H. Triple H, one of the all-time greats, the King of Kings, the Cerebral Assassin. Triple H did a rare appearance on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith to discuss that he is no longer will be in ring competition. Triple H, nearly almost 30 years in wrestling. Triple H decided that he wants to um call it quits due to his health, and I can't blame him. Triple H had a heart issue this past year. Triple H elaborated that he wanted to stop, and he has a pacemaker in him that he said that he wants to take it slow and take it easy, less the amount of pressure. Triple H started his career on the training of Killer Kowalski, and Triple H went to WWE, was in WCW at first. And he wanted to go to WWE. That was his motivation, his mission, and he did so, becoming Hunter Hearst Helmsley in 1995 with the Royal Blue Blood, then winning the Intercontinental Championship in its King of the Ring. Triple H reinvented himself as being a technical savvy wrestler in the year 1999, as well as a founding member of the Generation X, with Shawn Michaels, Chyna, and Rick Rude. Triple H, like I said, in 1999, pursued the WWE Championship and won it on Raw August 1999. Triple H then went on to have a feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mr. McMahon, and The Rock, with legendary feuds with The Rock over the WWE title and Intercontinental title. Triple H evolved from there, wrestling, creating his own faction, Evolution, bringing up Randy Orton, Batista, along with his mentor Ric Flair. Triple H evolved, becoming a 13-time world champion, a 14-time world champion. After Triple H was doing his career, he decided to leave the ring for a minute and wanted to be in the boardroom. Triple H became an executive running NXT. Triple H ran NXT, creating stars such as Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Kevin Killer Cross. All those stars was under Triple H's tutelage. Triple H made them who they are, and Triple H led a pathway of success with NXT with his takeover. Triple H will do so doing that, being the star that he is. Um, like I said about Triple H, I grew up with watching Triple H. Who can forget nearly 20 years ago when Triple H made his return from his life altering leg career ending with his leg. Triple H returned at Madison Square Garden. He won the Royal Rumble that year in 2002 and won the championship at WrestleMania with a career with a storytelling legacy. We'll get more to Triple H later. Like I said, I wanted to give that brief synopsis of Triple H winning all the championships and being celebrated for his contributions in wrestling. All right, many of you here to see the SmackDown Ring Report, and we're going to get to it right now as the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar right here. Brock Lesnar made his impact. He tried to go after Roman Reigns and try to take the Roman right in his own dressing room. Brock Lesnar was sitting there waiting on Roman. He went in there and bombarded. Brock Lesnar decided to make himself at home by just taking Roman stuff. And Brock Lesnar breaking the table. Brock Lesnar like breaking tables. He did so by waiting on Roman and try to get his hands on Roman. Well, SmackDown kicked off with a bang as the Usos took on, well, I think Jay took on Nakamura. As we know, Nakamura and Rick Boogs are the number one contenders for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and they'll get their shot at WrestleMania Saturday, 1 week from tomorrow, at WrestleMania Saturday. So it's going to be a fantastic match, to say the least. I can tell you that right now at WrestleMania Saturday. Nakamura picks up the win. Nakamura getting himself ready in position, jockeying in position to take him and Bulls to be next tag team champions. I think they can do so, but we have to see from there. Also, too, women, speaking of tag teams, the New Day. The New Day is back. Well, minus Big E. Big E had that life-threatening injury, but we wish Big E a long, speedy recovery. But King Woods returned. King Woods returned to take on Rich Holland. Well, Kofi did. Kofi took on Rich Holland. Kofi trying to get revenge on what Rich did to Big E, but King Woods in his corner as Sheamus and Butch was in ringside, and Kofi won over Rich Holland with the upset. I think they kind of don't get it right then and there how he's going to be with those teams. So look for the New Day having a mystery partner to take on them three at WrestleMania. Sheamus, Butch, and Rich Holland. Look for that. Speaking of tag teams, the women tag teams were going crazy. Well, we can show this right quick. The New Day won the match, so Kofi getting the upset win. All right, speaking of that, the women, you see Sasha Banks was in a fatal four-way match where she went against Queen Zelina, Shayna Baszler, and Rhea Ripley in a match. These four women will compete at WrestleMania. These four teams vying for the women's tag team titles. We thought that the current women's tag team champions, Carmella and Queen Zelina, can keep themselves intact. But we know that they was playing the rules, so they're both on the same page. Every woman in this match are on the same page, leaning towards WrestleMania. But Sasha got the win over Queen Zelina with the Banks statement. Get the 1, 2, 3. Sasha Banks wins the match. And let's like to say, Sasha Banks and Naomi could be walking out of WrestleMania Sunday as your new women's tag team champions. And hopefully they can get the job done more than one. Speaking of that, Ronda Rousey. Ronda right here, as you see Ronda. Ronda Rousey getting herself into position. Ronda Rousey taking on Charlotte Flair. Ronda Rousey wanted payback against Charlotte after what Charlotte done to her last week by humiliating her and powerbomb her through the announce table. But nowhere to be found. Charlotte was right there at her own studio, whatever. Charlotte said that she's going to humiliate Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania by doing what she do. But Ronda has a new arsenal. Ronda has the ankle lock that was given to her by Kurt Angle, and Ronda can use that ankle lock to her new advantage. We know Charlotte loves using the figure eight. That's what her father gave to her. So, like I said, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair will meet for the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania going forward. So we'll see that. Plus, two, the Intercontinental Championship, as Los Lotharios are now playing hot potato with the Intercontinental title. As you see, Los Lotharios, Angel, and Herberto trying to play hot potato with Ricochet. Ricochet had match one until Angel cheated for his cousin, Herberto. Herberto cheated for Angel, so they both now get both men get an Intercontinental Championship match next week on SmackDown. Now, who would ever thought that Angel and Herberto both get a championship match? Ricochet has his work cut out for him when he takes on these two cousins looking for gold. You would think Angel and Herberto would be the ones to want to be fighting over who gets the shot, but Ricochet said that he wants both of them. He gets both of them next week for the Intercontinental title. Speaking of that, we know that next week on SmackDown is WrestleMania SmackDown. And then we're going to be having WrestleMania Raw as well. We'll have that on the Pro Wrestling Show for the Raw Ring Report. But for WrestleMania SmackDown, here are the men that are announced for WrestleMania SmackDown. We have Finn Balor, U.S. Champion, Damian Priest, Apollo Crews, Commander Z, Shelton Benjamin, Jinder Mahal. The list goes on. Who I don't see Almost in this match. You would think Almost would be in this match because he'd be the heavy favorite to win it, but Almost is not in the match. Well, we'll see on that. Plus, too, we know that Drew McIntyre will take on Happy Corbin at WrestleMania on that Saturday. We know that Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss are a little bit worried that Drew might have something up his sleeve coming up at WrestleMania for them coming forward. So we'll see how all this plays out between Drew and Happy Corbin at WrestleMania. We know too at WrestleMania, Pat McAfee will take on Austin Theory. Pat McAfee was about to slate to make some, him and Mike Cole will make announcements for the WrestleMania card until he got blindsided by Austin Theory. Austin Theory blindsided Pat McAfee, and they was playing mice, cat like Tom and Jerry. They was going out there, and Pat McAfee tried to get Austin Theory until Austin Theory went to Mr. McMahon's office, and Pat McAfee thought about going in there, and he couldn't go in there, so he was going to wait. So don't be surprised if Pat McAfee do something real incredible to Austin Theory at WrestleMania. We'll see that. All right, we know that Brock Lesnar was still waiting. Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, was still waiting for Roman Reigns to show up. Roman Reigns still hasn't show up, but Roman did show up. Roman showed up, and he talked about what he's going to do to Brock Lesnar. And Paul Heyman was a little bit worried, but Brock Lesnar was like being Brock Lesnar. One thing I can say about Brock Lesnar, he is showing his true character, and people enjoy like Brock Lesnar. Well, Brock Lesnar took it to the next level and tried to destroy the whole staff. And I mean, Brock Lesnar destroyed everybody in sight. Brock Lesnar didn't care who was in his way. He destroyed security guards. Hell, even Michael Cole and Pat McAfee knew to get away from Brock. I know Michael Cole know for a fact. The day after WrestleMania, Brock went crazy and F5 Michael Cole and took down to just about everybody. Everybody got out Brock's sight. Brock Lesnar making the appearance like, I ain't finna get nobody away. These security guards got out of the way. But Roman was on the screen, on the Tron, saying that Brock is going to acknowledge him at WrestleMania as the undisputed Universal Champion. Well, hopefully, I hope Brock wins, but it could be a close one between Brock and Roman going forward. But Brock's been more of a full-timer now than he was a part-timer. And I guess a lot of people like that Brock is showing his true self, his true nature. And he got 8 days to do so at WrestleMania, where the Showcase of the Moors, the granddad of them all, WrestleMania. With WrestleMania, we'll see Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns clash for the title unification match. Hopefully Brock wins so the WWE title can stay intact. The WWE title, the oldest title, and the Universal title, and make it the unified WWE Championship. That's what I call it, or the undisputed WWE Championship, if you ask me. But we'll see how this all going to play out and both men will be slated to appear on Raw for WrestleMania Raw for Raw's edition of WrestleMania Raw edition. So we'll see that this week on Raw, and they'll continue on WrestleMania SmackDown. So that ends the SmackDown ring report. So let's move forward. Let's move forward to Wrestling Hot Topics. On Wrestling Hot Topics. All right, we'll get to Triple H in a minute. What we had heard about what's going on. Triple H, if you're joining us right now, beginning of the show, we talked about Triple H's career. We talked about Triple H retiring from in-ring competition, and we'll talk about that in a minute. All we can say right now about MJF saying that he's the highest free agent. That he said in 2024 he will make a decision. Either he'll stay in AEW or join WWE. Whoever makes the highest offer. But MJF was on the Ariel Helwani show on his YouTube channel, and he did an interview and talked about everything with CM Punk, Cody, and a lot. So MJF doing big things, and he's looking forward to the next 2 years so he can make a choice on what he wants to do. MJF being the dastardly heel he is, making people tick as he go. So we'll get to MJF down the road. Also, too, we talked about Chad Gaspar receiving the Warrior Award. Chad Gaspar did a courageous thing. He saved his son from being drowned. Unfortunately for Chad Gaspar, he saved his son before Chad Gaspar, a tidal wave came in, and Chad Gaspar will be honored for his contributions, for saving his son, and for his contributions in wrestling. He won't be forgotten. It's been 2 years since that horrific incident, and Chad Gaspar will be honored into the WWE Hall of Fame. And congratulations to him. I know it's courageous, like they say, for a courageous effort. I will say that by Chad Gaspar. Speaking of that, we know that Impact Wrestling, as you see right here, the Cardonas, Matt and Chelsea Green, Matt Cardona and his wife Chelsea Green, did a somewhat like I saw this coming on Impact. I'm surprised Mickey James didn't see it come for herself. She should have saw that since her husband was feuding with Matt, that his wife is going to be coming for her, and eventually it happened like that. So they're going to have it on their Impact Super Show coming up. Matt Cardona and his wife takes on Mickey James and her husband, Nick Aldis, who's making a brief return to Impact. He said he wasn't going to come back to Impact under some circumstances, but he got to come back for these circumstances. So there they go. All right, we'll talk about it. If you weren't with us earlier, we talked about Triple H announcing his retirement from in-ring competition in an interview with ESPN Stephen Smith. Yes, Triple H said that he is done with wrestling due to his health. Courageous effort by the game. Triple H, like I said, Triple H has done it all in the WWE, being a WWE champion, world champion. He won a Grand Slam champion. Triple H has done it and done it well. And this is the tweet that Triple H sent that by his future. And I quote, been a while since giving update on my health and what the future has in store for me. Check out my conversation with Stephen Smith today on First Take. I watched it, the full interview. You can watch it on ESPN YouTube channel. It was a good interview. It gave a good send off of Triple H. I know Triple H didn't want the send off he would want, but it put him at peace and put him at comfort. That Triple H don't have to deal with the pressures of wrestling no more. He can just do executive work, office duties, and like I said, Triple H will undoubtedly go in as one of the all-time greats. I'll tell you right now, Triple H is that one of the all-time greatest in-ring competitors. In my opinion, Triple H is there with the Austins, Rocks, and Cenas. And Triple H will live on in WWE. I'll tell you that right now. All right. Like I said, next week on SmackDown, on SmackDown Report, DeAndre, we're gonna have who won the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. We'll find out WrestleMania SmackDown. Which one of these men won it? We'll see. +2, a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Can Cousins, Angel, and Herberto? I know they're a tag team, but eventually, will they turn against each other? One of them to become the Intercontinental Champion, or Ricochet have a 2-on-1 handicap situation? Or can Ricochet try to get the Cousins to think about winning gold for themselves and get them distracted so he can win, he can retain the title? That's the only way Ricochet gonna win, retain his title. But we'll find out next week on SmackDown. So for me being Kendrick Dixon, we'll see you next week for predict the outcome for the SmackDown ring for WrestleMania night 1 and 2. But we'll see you next week for another edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. See you later.